Wouldn't it be cool if your Mac automatically analyzed all the time spent on your computer and showed you insanely detailed charts like this that help you understand where your time is going? You'd get a breakdown of your most active weekdays, a comparison showing which hours are your busiest, a productivity rating so you can stay aware of how you spend your time, and a visual chart showing which apps you spend most of your time in. And wouldn't it be cool if all this was fully customizable by date, week, month, quarter, or whatever the heck you'd want? Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Which is why my friends at the Timing app are teaming up with me to show you the incredible power of their app, which is natively designed and optimized for macOS, by the way. As a freelancer and someone who actively needs to track their time, I've tested dozens of different time tracking apps for my Mac over the last 10 years, and I will say this one is loaded with features, and it's by far the best one I've used so far. There are time tracking apps where you hit start and stop to track your time spent on specific tasks. And then there's things like Apple's screen time summaries, which calculate how much time you spent in each app on your computer. The Timing app does both all in one, and it breaks it down to clear visual charts. When you launch it for the first time, you'll get this walkthrough of what it does, and it's basically just what they call it, a set it and forget it type of app. I will also say there's two ways to use this app. You can just let it run in the background and automatically get great summaries of your usage and productivity. Or if you're up for it, you can learn a ton of advanced features to really master your Mac productivity. If you're into this kind of stuff and want to get the most of this app, there's a free email course which you can sign up for directly from the app. So now that you understand the basics, let me show you what it looks like to use this app on a daily basis. Most of the time, this is my view. You don't really see anything besides this counter in your menu bar showing the time you've used your Mac today. This is your quick access to all key features. You can show your tracking results, which opens the full app with all its glory, and we'll dig into that a little later. You can start a manual timer, which is something I like to do when I'm working for a client that I charge by the hour. That way, it doesn't matter if I jump between apps or step away for a phone call, all my time gets properly tracked. You can also quick start timers directly from this menu here, or if you'd like, you can pause all time tracking for the rest of the day, or for the next hour, for example. You can also set it to ask for activity after being idle. I've noticed this app is really good at noticing when you're idle and away from your computer. But as we all know, sometimes the time spent away is still work time that you'd like to track. So having the option to fill in those idle moments, making sure you don't forget them, and getting them properly categorized is pretty great. So what do the results look like once you've tracked your time for a while? On top left, you change between different views. Activities ranks your activities from most used to the least used. The Stats tab is by far my favorite view. Reports is where you'd export a timesheet, and I'll give a quick example of that in a minute. And lastly, the Teams tab is for those that want to track not just their own use, but their whole team at work. Now this might sound bad, and maybe you think it's a tool for evil micromanaging, but that's not always the case. I used to work for a creative agency where we had a bunch of different clients, and the owners were always struggling to understand which clients are the most time and resource consuming. If one client consumes 70% of your team's time, you need to be charging that client more. Tracking a larger team and their time use accurately is surprisingly challenging, so I'm glad to see this app has a solution for that as well. Anyways, let's poke around the stats page since that's my favorite. Regardless which view you're in, you can filter your activities on the left. The app has these sample projects, and a lot of them it actually fills automatically. So depending what type of apps I spend my time in, it automatically categorizes them for me, which is pretty impressive. And then you can flip through your activities and see separate statistics for something like Office apps or apps used for messaging and communication. Where it gets really powerful is creating your own activities. I already created a video editing activity for myself since I spend a lot of time doing that. And if I want to create a new one, I can do it up here. We'll start by giving this activity a name, assign a color to it, and you can even rank the productivity score for this activity. Then you'll set rules, and based on these rules, your Mac can automatically track time spent for this category. I'm going to keep this simple, and since I'm creating a category for motion graphics, I'll simply tell it that when my app name contains After Effects, it means I'm working on motion graphics. And because I had my video editing activity selected when creating this, it's now basically a subcategory under video editing. If I want to, I can simply drag and drop to make this into its own standalone activity. And speaking of drag and drop, Let's say on this day I was doing some research on ChatGPT, but it was actually related to a video editing project I'm working on. I can just drag and drop this time entry into my video editing project, and now that time will count towards my video editing. I could also hold down the Option key while dragging and dropping to create a rule, so that any future use of that app, or matching file or website, depending on what you drag, will be automatically assigned to that project. Past entries won't change, but everything going forward will follow the rule. So drag and drop is one-time assignment. Option drag creates an ongoing automation. Lastly, let's look at exporting timesheets. There's an easy and advanced option, presets to choose from, multiple ways to customize your report, and a handful of file formats to choose from. I'm going to make a PDF, and this is what it'll look like. It'll list my activities and include any titles and notes I added. And here's what it looks like in an Excel format. Like I said, this app is loaded. There's a lot I didn't include in the video, but here are some things to highlight before we wrap things up. Everything from multi-Mac sync to meeting detection, billing and invoicing support, privacy features, and keyboard shortcuts. That's it. That's what pro-level time tracking on a Mac looks like. There's a free 30-day trial to get you started, and after that you can click the link in the description to get a 20% discount on the app. Thanks all, happy time tracking, and I'll see you next time.